Remember, there'll be a little bit of dead air, then we'll play some music, and then we'll get into the show. If you want to bypass the rigmarole, not a problem. Just look at the time code on this very podcast, and you will be off to the races. Meantime, let's get the show started. Let me tweet out live that we have begun the Hootenanny, which is, I guess, the new term for podcasts, what I'm understanding. We are doing Hootenannies here. San Diego time. Here we go. It's a late one, fellas. We are going into the 10 o'clock hour, if you can believe that nonsense, with a very late Gabbin' and Games. It is good to see everybody. I hope you're well. Let us now begin the Cockadoodie show. Here we go. See you on the other side. Well, I don't know, Avril Lavigne. That's her brand new album, Love Sucks, which, if you like the Avril, and I like the Avril, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But I know some of you guys in the chat are too cool for school. You don't like anything that's got a fucking melody to it. It's got to be fucking people screaming and yelling. You goddamn kids with your fucking rock and roll music. Listen, welcome to Gabbin' and Games. This is a late one, fellas. It's 9:35 or so in San Diego. It is early in Europe, so hello, Batroll. Maybe some of these folks over in the UK and the European countries that are coming together to fight the evil Putin can listen and listen live and call in. The Discord is open. Now, listen to me, fellas. We're going to talk a lot about Elden Ring today, but I've packed that at the back of the show. If you're not an Elden Ring fan, not a problem. I understand. We'll talk about it at the end, but we're going to talk about some VR stuff. We're going to talk about Spartacus. We're going to talk about PlayStation Productions and all kinds of things. It should be a pretty fucking good show. A lot of content, a lot of good conversation. Again, once more, you are welcome to call in on the Discord to talk live about these and all other topics that you think your fellow audience members will consider interesting and engaging. So, fuck you, Mo. Mo in the chat says nobody likes the Avril. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? I've talked about this before, and I will talk about this a little bit more. I can't stand music snobs. Music snobs are worse than Souls snobs. They're worse than, believe it or not, they're worse than Metroid snobs. Music snobs. Like there's some kind of subjective accuracy to your opinion on a goddamn Cockadoodie song. You going to hell. You going to hell. And I'll be right there with you, pal. Thank you, Sector. Sector says, I love your Avril music. You goddamn right. You goddamn right. Avril's about as stale and manufactured as it gets, says Bukaki. If you like it, that's fine. It's made for low IQ folks. Or it's made for people who just don't care. You're in a fucking band, Bukaki, right? And that's great. But your view of it is not like, they don't make music for you. They just don't. I'm sorry. Musicians make music, at least the ones that are, successful or at least have a niche audience. They make music for their fans, sure. But the idea that musicians make music for other musicians, that's a rare thing. People make music for their audience. Oh, it's just not, it's manufactured. Well, who gives a shit? Fuck you, Bukaki. Fucking motherfucker. Listen. No, she's not actually. Brian E. says this has become an Avril stream. Brian E. says, I don't mind her music. The fact she's married, dating the frontman of Nickelback makes me wonder about her relationship. She broke up with that guy. She divorced that guy. So she's dating some weird dude named Mal Sun, or I don't fucking know. Anyway, this is not a show about Avril Lavigne, although it could be. This is a show about Ken Levine. That's not true. This is a show about video games, which is Ken Levine, and a variety of things. I'm sorry for being late. Let's jump right into the news. I want to tell you about PlayStation VR2. I want to tell you about PlayStation VR2. So there's a rumor going around. Now, to be fair, though, this rumor is from a fella who leaked the Horizon Call of the Mountain. He accurately leaked the PSVR2 specs. He also accurately leaked the PSVR dev conferences where they bring the developers in and show them how to get the most out of the system. So he's, we'll have to wait and see. But seems like he's salt to the earth when it comes to his accuracy. He just wants you to know that the PSVR2 is going to be released in Q1 of 2023. And that ain't too bad because it's going to get... Now, we don't know when this chip shortage and all that, the supply chain is going to be loosened. But that's not a bad idea. Putting it out in holiday versus waiting for more of the fucking hardware of the actual console, which you have to run PSVR 1 and 2. That makes a lot of sense. What's called MetaQuest now, instead of, I was going to say Oculus Quest 3. Oculus Quest 2, I believe, is now the best-selling VR headset. PSVR 1 only sold 6 million, which is a hit, but it does make you wonder. It's like, what is Sony's... Are they just going, look, we know this is the future somehow, and we just want to stay in it and be good at it? I mean, 6 million's not terrible, but it's not like you go, holy shit, man, let's keep rolling the dice, but I guess they are. But this will be out. The rumor is that Oculus 3, Meta 3 is going to be coming out 2023 holidays. So these guys will have about a year jump on them. But I still think this is always going to be more niche because you have to have the console and all that stuff. There's an urban legend that says Avril Lavigne died, says Zanko, and was replaced by someone similar. That's why she doesn't age. Okay, I think you just made that up. I don't think that's actually an urban legend, but we can make it one if you like. Eddie says, I bought a PSVR day one and maybe used it 6 times. It is absolutely, I'm with you, pal. I mean, it's got some neat things. Why aren't your chats showing up, fellas? Hang on. What the fudge? Hang on. Sorry about that, Eddie. I was trying to get your chat up on the screen. I bought a PSVR day one and maybe used it 6 times. I definitely burnt out on it really quickly, but I do think that PSVR 2 sounds a lot better. The kind of games are rumored to be making for it sound a lot better. I'm pretty jazzed for it. But yeah, I use my Oculus Quest a hell of a lot more than I ever use my PSVR 2 or PSVR 1. Twisted, thank you, buddy. He drops first super chat of the night. He says, thoughts on Kratos versus Sweet Tooth. Who would win? Kratos would win easily. Sweet Tooth is a demon inhabiting the soul of a fucked up man. Kratos has killed gods. So I think Sweet Tooth in his insanity might get in a couple of good jabs, but I don't think that he would win. There was a whole subplot, by the way, so when we were making the Twisted Metal live action movies for the last one, where like I said, it got pretty deep. I loved this take on it. But so Needles Kane, who becomes Sweet Tooth and who lived in the house where he murdered his family, of course. They lived out in the country, and in the back, Needles, there was a part of the story where he kept hearing voices and a voice calling him. And he started exploring his field in the back, which, dead crops and everything. He couldn't get anything to grow there. And he started hearing these voices coming from underground. And so he obviously took a shovel and he started digging and digging and digging, and clunk, he hits this coffin. And it's this coffin that the town had buried, like this serial killer that would terrorize the town back in the 1800s, had buried him after they killed him, of course. Well, not necessarily, 10 feet under. And he just happens to be on the property. And so the voice calls for him to take the wood of the coffin and carve it into the sweet tooth mask. And sort of the spirit of that killer is now sort of the demon spirit is put into Needles Cane. So I don't know why I told that story, but what was I talking about? Jesus, it's late, fellas. What was I talking about? Hang on a minute, you cockadoodie fucks. Oh yeah, who would win? So he does have a demon in him, but Kratos will kick your ass for demons. She's not too worried. Spasbo says the PSVR on PS4 is so limited in terms of what you can do, but PSVR2 is going to be just as good as all PC VR headsets. Yeah, but I think PC VR headsets are niche. I think Oculus Quest or MetaQuest or whatever is the way to go. That's what most people respond to at a more of a major market level. So I'm sure it'll be great, but I honestly think, I'd love just look, I'll tell you what, just like Sony's bringing their shit to Steam, I would love to see them start bringing some of their VR stuff to Oculus, or at least to Steam as well. So then you can play it on your Oculus, that you can link in your VR, your Oculus VR. Okay. Yes, we will talk a little bit, Bukaki, about the Twisted Metal TV show tonight. I'll give you a little insight into that. Would you ever create your own religion and call it the Gabbin' Games, make it about playing games? No. I think religion is nonsense and stupid and goofy and dumb. Okay. Hi, Sir Jaffe, says Steve Kelly. Are you back developing games? New subscriber. Also, I'll meet you in hell. I'll meet you in hell, sir. No, I have no interest anymore in developing video games. You never know what the future holds, but right now I am absolutely not interested in going back down that road. CR3D says, Jaffe, I've designed games for VR. It has a major downfall. It's very difficult for the player to exhibit what the actual protagonist can do. I think it depends. If you're doing it first person and you're like character, yeah. But the stuff Sony has talked about, I think, is pretty cool, or at least they've hinted at, which is they're going to do games like that, of course, like they showed the new Horizon game as POV, it looks like. But they're also, at least when they were talking about this, they implied they were going to be doing video games that were modes of their traditional games. So like Horizon Forbidden West would be able, I guess it would be able, I don't know if you can do that though, because you got to run it at 120 frames a second, because you got to run both lenses. You're not going to be able to run Horizon Forbidden West at 120. So I don't know how accurate that is, actually, where they're just going to pull the camera back like the people who mod VR games and say, there you go. But we'll see. We'll see. I would much rather play a game like that in VR than just a POV game. What do you mean he's delayed? Who's delayed? Me? The timing? When I said PSVR 2 would be as good as PC headsets, that includes Oculus Quest 2. Oculus Quest 2 is not a PC VR headset. I mean, you can hook it up. But the difference, though, is that you have to hook up your PC headset, your VR headset, you have to have a PC if you want to run the Steam stuff. Just like if you want to play on your PSVR 2, you have to have a PS5. Jaffe, could the Pope start Russia to stop the war? Could the Pope stop Russia? The Pope? No, God, no. Nobody cares about the Pope. That's all lip service. Come on now. Let's move on. I want to talk about A little bit. Let's talk about PlayStation Productions. This will move in. Oh, you're actually talking about Spasbo, the functionality of it, right? Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, sure. Papa Jaffa, you've been indulging in too much Elden Ring and you've abandoned us G&G fans. I'm here. I put up like 5 videos on Friday. I'm not gone anywhere. All I can tell you is today was a clusterfuck. Because people who watched the stream last week might know that I was getting some stuttering in the stream, so I totally like 2x'd my internet, which required a whole reinstallation of a bunch of shit, and then I tried to update. Doesn't matter. I had a technical hell of a day. That's why I'm running late. Not because, although I was playing Elden Ring because I had to reinstall Windows and a bunch of other shit like 3 times today. So PlayStation Productions has their first hit. We've talked about this a little bit. The Uncharted motion picture show has just crossed a threshold. They've actually made over $220 million globally. It's the number 1 movie in America again, 23 million over the weekend. It brought in 35 million from overseas. It hasn't even opened in China. It's not a massive hit. Like if you go and you look at like the sequel to Jumanji from Sony did like 800 million worldwide. This is probably going to head out of the box offices all around the world at around, 350, which is still great. It cost 120 million. If you assume prints and advertising was another 120, they're certainly making profit, which is great. And then they're going to keep making profit off, when they go to streaming and all that stuff. I do wonder about the sequel. I mean, Sony has said as much that they're seriously considering, if not greenlighting a sequel. And I know people who saw this movie really liked it, which is great. I haven't seen it yet. I should ask PlayStation Productions if they'll send me a screener of it, so I don't have to go out to the theater. That'd be nice. I got to talk to them tomorrow. Actually, I'm not going to ask them that. But yeah, I mean, so it's one of those weird things where it's kind of, I still look at it and go, certainly the Uncharted fans are not why this movie did well. Most people who see it say it's really fun and really good. I don't know if it's caught sort of the tailwinds of the zeitgeist enough that Uncharted 2 comes out in 2 years and everybody's going to kind of run for it and can't wait to see it, or if it's going to be just more one of those like, like Tomb Raider, the second Tomb Raider, nobody showed up for. But I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of it's in that awkward age. It's on that line. What PlayStation Productions also made news about today, though, was not just announcing that $220 million is how much they've made so far off the motion picture show called Uncharted. They also will let you know that the Twisted Metal show. It was really interesting. PlayStation Productions usually calls me 20 minutes before news breaks. I appreciate that. I really, really do. Like I said, they've been very communicative, very kind, very cool people to talk with. And I got a call today from PlayStation Productions, but I was dealing with all this technical nonsense and I couldn't get the phone. And so I didn't get back to them until later in the day. But like 20 minutes later, sure enough, here's this article. PlayStation's Twisted Metal series will be a comedy on Peacock. Now, that's the article on The Verge. That I'll show it to you. That is that's the headline they chose. That's not necessarily what anyone else is saying, I don't think. It wasn't pitched to me as a comedy, but it was pitched to me made by some really funny people involved, and they worked on Zombieland. So I guess if you think Zombieland or Deadpool, which they worked on as well, are comedies, then okay, it's a comedy. But I don't think it's going to be like, Friends. Can you imagine? It's Friends, but with Twisted Metal. And all the characters live together in their 20s. Anthony Mackie, we already knew this, will play a, quote, smartass milkman. Let me read you the... it's going to be on Peacock, which I don't know if you have. Peacock's pretty good because they have all the wrestling. So they have the exclusive WWE network closed down. They went to Peacock, so I subscribed for that. And then they got, my kids wanted to watch, they got an updated Punky Brewster and this, that, and the other. So it's okay. Out of all the streaming services right now, it's pretty eh. It's a good point. Kyle Homer says Doom Patrol and Peacemaker are both comedies. Right. So, I mean, it depends, but here's the description. It says Sony's Twisted Metal show will debut on the Peacock, the streaming network service of NBC. It is officially labeled a comedy. It's officially labeled a comedy, according to this article. I didn't see that. Earlier last year, we heard the combat show was in the works, being produced by Will Arnett, helmed by Michael Jonathan Smith, showrunner, writer, producer. On Monday, we learned that each episode will be 30 minutes and will attempt to make audiences laugh. Where are they getting that from? That it's going to attempt to, just because they called it a comedy? I don't know. I mean, I think they're obviously, extrapolating that. Twisted Metal is a half-hour TV live-action series based on the classic This is the press release. Based on the classic PlayStation game, it's a high-octane action comedy based on an original take by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who wrote Zombieland and Deadpool, about a motor-mouth outsider, a old knucklehead, offered a chance at a better life, but only if he can successfully deliver a mysterious package across a post-apocalyptic wasteland. With the help of a trigger-happy car thief, he'll face savage marauders driving vehicles of destruction and other dangers of the open road, including a deranged clown who drives an all-too-familiar ice cream truck. Boom, baby! Boom. Ooh, I like that. Jar says, I hope to see Axel in the show. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. That'd be pretty good. Crazed Assassin says, do you think Neil Druckmann saw Uncharted or Amy Hennig? I can't fathom they wouldn't. Of course I'm going to watch this show. I don't know if it's good, I'll watch all of it, but I'm certainly going to watch the pilot. But I mean, and Will Arnett's name keeps popping up, and this is a weird one because it says it's being produced by Will Arnett. So I'm not spoiling anything, but I know there was like, is that a rumor? Is that real? Since it's in this release here, I'm just going to own it and say, yeah, my understanding is that yes, Will Arnett is involved, which will make my kids scream with delight because they're massive BoJack Horseman fans. So I did speak on Twitter today to PlayStation Productions. I'm calling them tomorrow, but I asked them point blank. I said, so is this officially greenlit now? Because before they were taking it around. I'm sure they went to Netflix, HBO Max, all the various streaming services, and maybe even networks or cable, TBS and whatnot, or I don't know, the USA, FX, and ultimately I assume a variety of reasons, they said, let's go with Peacock, and Peacock said, yes, we want to do this with you. So when I said to him, is this officially locked in? Things can happen, of course, but is it greenlit? He said, basically, yes, it's a go product now. So unless something unexpected happens, which it does often enough that it's not out of the norm, but unless something unexpected happens, there will be a set. I don't know if it's all going to be green screen. I don't know if it's all going to be done like Mandalorian on one of those big 360 domes, or in one of those 360 domes, or maybe they'll shoot out in the desert. Who the fuck knows? But this will be shooting. They'll be making at least a pilot. Bacon Magma says, Jaffe, can you convince the people at the Twisted Metal show to include an Easter egg of BB and Tina in a background shot? Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Eddie T says, the initial pitch sounds very generic to me. The package will probably be a young girl that will be Sweet Tooth's daughter, and that's why he's after the protagonist. That's pretty good. Pretty interesting. I don't know what the package is. I have not read the pilot. Even if I did, I would tell you I read the pilot, but I haven't. But I wouldn't tell you what the package is. The package may be like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. You may never know, which is kind of annoying. I'd like to know. I like your idea. That's pretty good. Or maybe it's like the DNA, or it's the cure for Sweet Tooth, or the DNA of the daughter. I don't know. It'd be pretty cool. Spasmo says it definitely won't have the budget for one of those 360 sets like Mandalorian. I thought the whole point of those 360 sets was that it brought costs down because you don't have to take a crew out into the middle of where did they shoot Tatooine in the original Star Wars? Where the fuck did they shoot it? Tunisia. You're shooting it there in LA or Vancouver or wherever, or Georgia. So I don't know. YouTube Premium says it makes sense when casting a project like this to favor big names versus random actors. Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, you have to. You absolutely have to. That's, unless you're doing something teeny tiny, small budget, and you're doing it more for the indie space, and you hope it does well, of course, but it's not like these shows that PlayStation Productions, I mean, they're part of Sony, they're part of PlayStation. They're not looking for singles. I mean, I'm sure they'll accept singles. They definitely don't want to strike out, but they're looking for to make something real out of this. And if you're playing that game, you need stars, so you can kind of have it move all around the world, and even to an extent in America. At least that's what I understand. Zaf says it's a missed opportunity for a great horror series. It would be great if it was animated with the tone of HBO's Spawn. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go with it, for sure. I'm not apathetic at all. Like I said, I like these people at PlayStation Productions. They must, I don't know if they like me, because I call shit like I see it, and I was like, I hated those Uncharted trailers, but I'm glad it's doing fucking well. But I like them. They're good people, they're smart people, and I appreciate the relationship I have with them. But, I'm apathetic in the sense that I don't feel a sense of like, oh, it's got to be this. I'm like, my take on Twisted Metal was already given to the world, for better or for worse, in the games. And so I'm real interested to see what someone else does with it, for sure. And it may be like Uncharted. They may obviously, maybe I don't know this. Maybe PlayStation Productions, thesis statement is, we're going to give big acknowledgement to the material. We're not going to, turn it into a drawing room comedy. But we're also at the same time going to make sure that, first and foremost, we're making a piece of entertainment that, whether you like or not Twisted Metal or Uncharted, it's going to work. And it does seem to be the case that with Uncharted, it sounds like more people who like it are the ones who didn't go in kind of loaded for bear, in terms of excited to see the game on the screen. Okay, so Sorrel super chats. Thanks, buddy. He says, did you know that they're making a Twisted Metal TV show? What do you think about it? I mean, why? LOL. Okay, so yes, obviously I knew. And it's the news had dropped before, and they talked about a movie a couple of times as well. What do I think about it? I just told you. As for why, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I understand why they would want to make a God of War TV series or movie, which I assume they'll announce one day. I kind of get The Last of Us. I certainly, get some. I was surprised when they announced Twisted Metal. I mean, I'm happy they did. That's pretty cool when you think about it, or when I think about it. It's like, I don't want to be in the TV business. I don't want to be in the movie business, but it's kind of cool that the two main things I did at Sony had enough juice that, even though they're both evolved and changed, they're still out there, working for people. That's fucking cool. I never would have imagined that. Well, that's not true. I had delusions of grandeur when I was younger and making games, but and then I also had crushing terror. But when I had the delusions of grandeur, sure. But sitting in a conference room at Sony Music with Mike Yam and Alan Becker, and talking to Lee Wilson on the phone about what Sweet Tooth needed to look like, and then talking to Charlie Wynn and Martin Mercer, these are concept artists. It's just like, it's kind of bizarre now, 2 decades later, to be sitting here talking about, like, if the show works, how cool would that be? Then I die at 95, hopefully, and Sweet Tooth's still out there making news, and Kratos is out there making news. Come on now. People will tour the home where I grew up. I don't know if that's true. Okay. I don't know why Sony wants to make movies, says Bukaki, out of their games that are just really long movies. Well, they probably want to do what Marvel's doing. They probably look at the gold in the hills of Marvel and say, we have all these characters, blah, blah, blah. Guy Fox says, how long have you known about this iteration of Twisted Metal? I have known about this iteration of Twisted Metal maybe 8 months now, something like that. I mean, but again, today's not the news. The news today is Peacock has said, we're in business with you, PlayStation Productions. We'll fund and or air the Twisted Metal TV show. And from there, it's a go production at the moment. That's today's news, but it's already been circulated that it's, Anthony Mackie's going to be in it, and Will Arnett's producing it. Here are the behind the scenes folks. That's been known for a long time. Eddie T says, I bought a Sweet Tooth statue releasing next month. Even if we don't get a new Twisted, it's cool that the series is still being kept alive through merch in the show. Fuck yeah, it is. Fuck yeah, it is. God, it's cool. That's what I think is cool about it. Not the Hollywood connection. Not, oh, it's going to be a TV show. But just that, yeah, it's like this fucking thing is just out there doing its thing, man. And it's inspiring this person to write a show and that person to... inspiring Corey to jump on a totally different track of God of War, and now Eric. That's fucking cool. Neo Hagen says, would I cameo on the show? Oh yeah, I want to say I I wasn't dreaming it, where they said I could cameo on the first episode, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not sitting around waiting for my close up. I probably won't get a close up, but sure, if they want to have me, I'm there for them in any way they need me. If Putin contacted you right now, says BB, what would be the 2 words you would choose to tell him? I would say, and I don't say this lightly because I don't think this is a good idea in 99.9% of the cases, but to him I would say, kill yourself. Vladimir Putin, I mean. Oh man, that's great. They should get Clint Howard as Sweet Tooth. God, if you don't know who Clint Howard is Ron Howard, the director and actor's brother, and he's a very unique looking human for sure. Okay. I want to get some super chats. Nikki T, thank you, buddy. He says, I'm excited to hear your Elden thoughts. And again, I'm sorry I'm not getting all the stuff on the screen right now. Like I said, my computer shat the bed multiple times today. And they'll be back on the next show, I promise. But like your comments and the member pictures and all that just got removed. I have it doesn't matter. It'll be back Wednesday. Bukaki says, technically, Captain America has a job thanks to you. Well, technically, the show is being made thanks to Captain America, meaning Howard Mackie. I think you got to put somebody in there. Now, Howard Mackie's not the world's biggest star at the moment. Maybe he will be. Maybe he'll never be. He's great as Captain America, and he was great as Falcon. But ultimately, I have to assume a key part of this, just like with Uncharted getting greenlit, was attaching some in front of the camera talent that would sort of ease the worry that a lot of these executive types have because they're spending shit tons of money. But anyway, excited to hear your Elden thoughts. The Russian stuff is insane. Peace to Ukraine. Can't imagine what those people are going through. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into politics tonight. I'm happy to if that's where you guys want to go with this, but we talked about it on an earlier show last week. Yeah, it's horrible. I am very surprised I'm delighted. I'm surprised and delighted to see a lot of Europe coming together to defend Ukraine, whether you're talking like money from Germany, whether you're talking or money from all over the world, but Germany just released a shit ton of funds specifically for the Ukraine to buy weapons. Whether you're talking about, countries asking to join NATO to help, and I'm thrilled to see Putin being sort of shamed into a corner. It doesn't mean he's not going to take over Ukraine, but I'm happy that it's not, that people aren't just going easy into the good night, as I'm paraphrasing, they say. Okay. But Elden thoughts. Yes, I will give you my Elden thoughts in just a little bit. The Cliff Notes version, or the short high concept version, is it's one of my favorite games of all time. I fucking adore it, and I want to talk about it, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Mike Smith, you old knucklehead. Is this Mike Smith of Smith & Wesson? God damn, y'all make some good BB guns. I don't know what you make. I don't have a Smith & Wesson. I have something, but I don't know what the brand is. The point is this, Mike Smith. You have joined the Diet Soda Soldiers. I'm going to put some things in the pipe for you right now. I'm going to put the pantyhose of Farrah Fawcett back when she was a big deal in the 70s. I'm going to put the panties of Scarlett Johansson. I'm going to put the underwear of Captain America, Chris Evans, if you're into the man folk. I'm going to put a little love. I'm going to put Gabbin and Games in there. And I'm going to put a little semen from our very own Bukkake Drive-By. There you go, baby. Smoke that. Mike Smith, you are now officially a member of the goddamn Diet Soda Soldiers. I appreciate your support, your generosity. Thanks for being here. All right. Kruger drops a couple of super chats. He says, Sweet Tooth gets iPad. I laughed at that, but I don't know what it means. And I appreciate it. He also goes on to say, music-wise, Twisted Metal or Twisted Metal Black? For the series, I don't know. I have no idea. For me, Twisted Metal, the original. I don't really I mean, I like ambiance, but I don't want to drive around in the car and listen to it. The prize wheel, what happened to the prize wheel? The prize wheel is up when you see the prize wheel is up. So tonight we don't have it. So since I haven't made that clear, if the next time we have it, if Mike Smith is on, he'll get to spin the wheel. But sometimes I'm just not in the headspace to do it, and other times I can't wait to do it. But you'll know. Maybe I'll let people know at the beginning of the show if it's a prize wheel day or night, but it's not right now. Legends, thank you for the super chat. He says, Jaffe, you should watch the infographic show. You know, I think I have watched that. I think I subscribe to that. It's just like a bunch of infographics, right, about certain topics, and it's very graphic and visual, and I think there might be some voiceover, right? Is that what you're talking about? I think I do subscribe to that. Newton Mo has been a member of the Diet Soda Soldiers for 15 months, motherfucker. That man hadn't been in a relationship longer than 4 months. He's been with us for 15 months. Thank you, sir. Diet Soda Soldiers all have mono from sharing the pipe. Every time I put the pipe down, I put it in formaldehyde, witch's urine, and a little bit of rubbing alcohol. You're not going to get anything. You're going to be fine. Okay. Ooh, Brian E. says, imagine, though, Twisted Metal on Shudder. God damn. Yeah, hey, I when I first heard about it, I thought that we were talking about a horror show. I was like, fuck yeah, I would have loved that. I would have probably been a little, I mean, again, I'm not uninterested. It's fucking Will Arnett, Howard Mackey, the Deadpool guys. I mean, it's going to be great, I hope, based on all those people. But that's something I got to see to believe based on, it's like, okay, I don't really know quite what it is yet. But yeah, if you told me it was a fucking horror show exclusive or made by Shudder, fuck, I'd be on the set every day if they'd let me. Okay. I'll watch Batman. Somebody's asking if I'm watching Batman. I know a lot of people are excited for it. It was really weird. IGN, I think, gave it a 10 out of 10, and then GameSpot gave it a 6 out of 10. So it's all over the board. But I'll be watching it when he comes home. There's very little that will get me out to a theater right now. I didn't even go see Spider-Man, and I fucking love Spider-Man. I've gotten so used to watching at home, and I still worry a little bit about the pandemic, so, Bukaki's been a member for 17 months. He says, throw up on my tits and shit on my balls. Okay, well, I'm not going to do it, but I'll see if I can find somebody for you. Rockman, thank you, buddy, for the super chat. He says, good night, sweet prince. Good night, sir. You going to bed early? Come on, we're just getting started. We're going to stay up and watch the sunrise, and we're going to see who can stay up. My mom and dad don't know it. They don't care if we're staying up late. Come on, man. Okay. Let's move on, shall we? Did you hear about this? Now, look, I'll get that one in a minute. Okay, sorry. Nintendo has pulled out of Evo. Think about that. It's the first time ever since 2007. I don't know when Evo started. But it's almost 15 years. Every 15 years, the last 15 years, you have had Nintendo at Evo. Now you don't. Not anymore, at least not for this year. Here's what the article says. This is over on IGN. Nintendo's choice to not be part of Evo follows Sony's purchase of the fighting game tournament. At the time of the acquisition announcement, Nintendo said that it wishes the show organizers the best and that it will continue to assess Evo in the future. That decision, at least for now, appears to have been made. So part of people are thinking they're not going to fucking help Sony out, I guess. But the other part, according to IGN, is that Nintendo's partnered with Panda Global for the first officially licensed series of Smash Bros. Esports tournaments. That makes a little bit more sense. I enjoy watching Smash Bros. On Evo, and I enjoy watching Mortal Kombat on Evo. It is surprising, out of all the esports, Most of them are like, you can watch them for a little bit. You get on with your fucking life. But fighting games broadcast well. I really like watching people play fighting games. It's really exciting. It's a very telegenic esport. So I'm actually looking forward to Evo this year. I'll probably broadcast a little bit of it next week. Actually, it's in 7 days. Nick wants to know why I think Sony bought Evo. I have absolutely no fucking idea. I really don't. I mean, I have absolutely no idea why they would think that is a valid acquisition. Unless they just sort of look at it and they say, we think with our, like, we see a lot more potential here for PlayStation, for Evo itself. Maybe when the pandemic's over, we build a convention around Evo so we can make money. I don't really know. I'm just guessing at this point. BB says, Jaffe, do you have high-speed internet? I think so. Why? Why do you ask? Are you seeing choppiness in the stream? Because I just upgraded my internet and changed my computer. Kruger says, Grass, thank you, buddy. He says, Super Chat says, Grasshopper doesn't wear underwear and Warthog has genital derbies? Maybe herpes? Pass it on. I'm not passing on the herpes, but I'll pass on the information. Thank you for the Super Chat, sir. Grasshopper doesn't wear underwear. Well, she's a robot, man. Did I spoil that for you? She's a robot. She doesn't need underwear. She's just, metal and plastic down there. Yeah, Brett Moore, I probably am, only because he says, are you going to play Gran Turismo 7? Brett Moore says, I'm a car guy. I love me some GT. Yes, because I think it will make good content. I'm not a fan, like I of the previous ones. It's always been way too simmy for me and difficult for me. But that said, I want to play it just to kind of stream it and talk about it and sort of see what people are thinking about it. But I can't imagine I'll do that well at it. It's just not my cup of tea. Wait, Evo 2022. Okay, hang on a minute. I'm a little confused now. Evo shared a letter announcing the news on Twitter ahead of the Evo 2022 announcement show on March 8th. Oh, it's the Evo 2022 announcement show is March 8th. I understand. I read that wrong, and I'm very sorry for that. Evo 2022 is in August in Las Vegas. I understood. Hey, 86 billion neurons, you old knucklehead. Thanks for being on YouTube. Thanks for being here, sir. I appreciate that. BB says you must review Babylon Fall. I have it downloaded. That is the new Platinum Games Games as a Service title. And it came out recently. The demo's out. Not the demo. Well, I guess it is the demo, but it's free to play, right? But anyway, I have the demo installed, and I will be playing it. Unless you have a wheel, GT is not really fun, says Crazed Assassin. And it sounds like Mata Tango is agreeing. Oh, well then fuck it, because I ain't buying a fucking wheel. Can you ask Twisted Metal showrunners, says Unish Ron, where you can direct one episode? No, God, no. No. I mean, no. I don't mean to mock your question. I'm not mocking it, but I'm not a director. I mean, that's its own skill set. And I don't imagine for a show like this, they're going to have a lot of people, especially probably the people who worked on Deadpool and Zombie Land and all that. They're going to have their pick of really good TV directors and maybe even movie directors to work with. I don't get me wrong. I think it'd be fun to try. Are you kidding? But no one would approach me and say, you want to direct one of these things? No. They let Druckmann. Well, Druckmann has more experience directing lately than I do. And plus, I don't know, he probably cares about that stuff. He probably was like, I want to do that. My theory is Neil Druckmann's gotten a taste. If the series is a hit, he's not long for Naughty Dog. I don't have any evidence of that. It just makes sense to me. Here's what I wonder. Think about this for a minute. And maybe I'll ask these guys when I talk to them tomorrow at PlayStation. So if you go back to the article about this, right? It actually lists the Twisted Metal show. It actually lists Herman Holst, Assad Quizzlebatch. I know I'm saying his name wrong. It's close, and it's a great name, but it sounds like a Harry Potter thing. But Assad and somebody else was listed as producers. Now, when you're dealing with movies and unions and TV shows, I start to wonder then, are these guys obviously are going to be PlayStation employees as they remain, but are they also part of the Producers Guild, and are they able to get residuals and back end and all this? Or is it just an honorary title? Because then I'm just like, what the fuck? That's a hell of a gig if you can get it. So if you're Neil Druckmann and you direct and it goes well, and suddenly you start getting offers to actually direct bigger and bigger things, which allow you to make a hell of a lot more money than you can make in video games, I wouldn't stay. If I had the capability of doing both, if I had the skills to do both, fuck that. Go make a fucking movie. Make a lot more money. But we'll see. I mean, that's just me theorizing. That's what I would do. I don't know what Neil would do. BB says, Jaffe, what was it like your first YouTube video? Were you shy or nervous or scared? I don't even remember it, but no, I've never had a problem being on camera or anything like that. My background is films as a try to be writer. I sold some stuff to television, and I made films in high school and college, but I was never good at it. All you have to do is watch the Twisted Metal live action movies. Now, if Shudder came to me and said, Jaffe, we saw the live action Twisted Metal movies. That's what we want. We want a green light at, $60,000 an episode, which is nothing. We want a green light, a 12 episode maxi series, and we're not just you direct it. I wouldn't want them telling me, because ultimately I think what they would want is make it as cheesy as possible. But when you try to make it cheesy, you fail. They'd just be like, take it serious, Jaffe, go direct it. I'm like, okay. I would be into that. That would be fantastic. That would be fucking fantastic. In a heartbeat, I would do that. Are you kidding me? So Dan says, Neil Druckmann has the easy life. He is a co-president. Why would he leave with all the cash, living the cozy life? Well, because there's a difference between making, I don't know what he's making, but let's say he makes $650,000 a year in salary, which is probably way more than he makes, but let's assume he does. And then let's on top of it assume with the PlayStation bonus programs, he makes $900 to $1.3 million a year. I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe he makes a lot more, but I've never heard anybody making that kind of money at Sony. But let's be stupidly, grandiose. You fucking make a movie as a director that's good, and then you make another movie that you have a better deal because your first movie was good and people want you. That's nothing. Bryan Singer, the notorious Bryan Singer, was also the creator of the TV show House, or one of the creators, executive producers. Most of Bryan Singer's money, and he's a very wealthy man, he also may very well be a pedophile, but that's just alleged. I don't have any proof. Most of his money, my understanding, comes from just the fact that he got his name on House and he worked on that for a few seasons, and then he phoned it in for the next 6 seasons. So that's a little bit different than, oh, look, I have to work relatively hard every year to make $1 million. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, this is all, we're all just shooting the shit like we were at a bar at this point. I don't know what Neil makes. I don't know if Neil wants to leave gaming. I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying, if it were me and I had directed and I started getting offers and I knew I could do both, I'd go fucking make the motion picture show. It's sad how games have become a bigger industry, says Guy, than movies, but the corresponding effect to the people who work doesn't translate. Well, because it's not this, the individuals don't offer the same value. Marketing and PR and the press will tell you they do, but end of the day, it's really about a team executing well a great brand. The originator of a series or the reinventor of a series is very important, but once you're running, once you're fucking running up and running, the audience will just buy your shit anywhere from 2 sequels to 20 sequels if it's kind of in that, well, it's not brilliant, but this is comfort food, right? That's where the money comes from. It's not because, Kojima's brilliant. He's probably one of the most visionary people working in the industry, but, his last game sold, 5, 6, 7 million copies as it, compared to, what Fortnite's doing, so it's not comparable. Nuts on Chin. Well, okay, sir, that's your name. Don't wear it out. That's terrible to say. That's like a 5-year-old. Don't wear it out. Nuts on Chin says, thanks for the super chat. He says, why can't I stop playing Horizon? I don't know. I stopped, but I'll tell you something. I did what I said I would do. I played it till I got to the open world, and I played the open world for a little bit. As I've said in a video I made, the combat is phenomenal in that game. And the art, once you get to the open world, it gives Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a run for its money in terms of one of the prettiest games ever.
Don't touch me there.
Ooh, my stars and garden. I love Dakota. It definitely gives Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a run for its money. It's a fucking gorgeous goddamn game. Why the game done open looking that good, I don't know. But I am all in on Elden right now, and I'm still having my affair with Cyberpunk. I try to sneak in a couple of visits to Cyberpunk to Night City once or twice a day because I absolutely adore it. I absolutely adore it. Okay, let me. I want to get some super chats, but let me get this story first. I want to talk. Speaking of Horizon. Did you hear the news? Some good news, some okay news for Horizon. Nearly 50% of Horizon Forbidden West sales were digital. So we're starting to get, I had never seen that before. This thing called the GSD, which stands for the Game Sales Data. I think it's only a European thing. In America, it is notoriously difficult to get. Maybe it's the NPD just has a fucking kind of lobbyist lock on it. It is notoriously difficult to get the sales. But in Europe, every week it's like box office scores from the goddamn motion pictures. But they're saying 50%, give or take, of the new PS game were PSN. The original Horizon game digital sales, compared to the original digital sales, were more than double of what the first Horizon game. 67% of Horizon's download sales were for the PS5. The PS5 sequel, this is from Game Industry Biz, saw Zero Dawn, the original, re-enter the charts at number 7. So what you've got at a download level, Horizon number 1, FIFA number 2, Total War Warhammer 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, 4, XCOM 2, 5, NBA 2K6, Horizon Zero Dawn 7, Riders Republic 8, Red Dead Redemption 2, still up there at 9, and 10 is Borderlands 3. Maybe people getting excited about the Tiny Tina, no, whatever the fuck it's called. But let's talk about, and I'll get to that comment. It's not appearing on the screen that CR3D did about Elden Ring. I'll try to remember that one. Interesting though, Elden Ring comes out. It's the fastest selling Souls-like game ever. Good night, Brian East. Fastest selling Souls-like game ever. A lot of hype. It's the number 1 on the UK box charts. Guerrilla Games Fantasy Adventure Horizon drops to number 2. But again, to be fair, Horizon's on 2 systems. Elden Ring is on 3. PC and PlayStation. Well, actually, is it on PS4? Or just PS5? But it's definitely on 3 at least. Elden Ring has already become the fastest selling title in the Souls-like genre, having had a bigger launch than Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Sekiro, and Bloodborne. This is Giant Bomb. No, this is Destructoid. The physical sales have already... Think about this now. This is how big this game is. This is the text that was written in Destructoid. So is it hyperbolic? Maybe, but listen to what they're saying. The physical sales of Elden Ring alone have already broken the record set by the previous holder, Dark Souls, before we even take into account digital. Add the fact that almost every major release today outsells its own physical release with its digital edition. Elden Ring is most certainly looking to be one of the single biggest releases of the year, perhaps the generation. Think about that. This little game that could, that started with Dark Souls 1, which didn't really do shit but became a cult hit, is now one of the big boys of the industry. That's a hell of a 10-year journey. That's a hell of a goddamn 10-year journey. Elden Ring, last thing about the sales, and we'll talk about the game. Elden Ring, according to Steam, this is nuts, man. This is how big this game is right now. Elden Ring has the top 5 best-selling games on Steam last week. They were Elden Ring, the Japanese version. I don't know why that's on Steam in America, but Elden Ring Deluxe. Then there was Destiny 2, the White Queen, and then another version of Elden Ring. So out of the top 5, 4 of them are Elden Ring versions, basically. Chad, whatever Miyazaki's first one was, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, you know what I'm saying. It's the same fucking thing. Whatever. The point being is that little thing that ended up with a cult following became this, which is cool, man. It's fucking cool. I'm late to the stream. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. I'm late to the stream, says Arrayus Sorrel. Have you ever had ideas for a Twisted movie or TV show? Have you ever pitched to anyone? What would you do if you had control? Thank you for the super chat, buddy. What I have always said I would want to do with Twisted Metal, if it was sort of up to me, is I would want to make I would want to make a really low budget, raw as fuck slasher horror movie, kind of like Terrifier. If you've seen the movie Terrifier, it's very raw. It's really brutal as fuck. And it takes that character in that movie, Art the Clown, and really, in my opinion, cements him after only 2 appearances on the screen as a colleague level slasher of Michael and Freddy and Jason. He is fucked up, that guy. I would love to see something like that. That's what I would love to do. Thank you for the super chat. I did already get nuts on chain. Why can't I stop playing Horizon? It's late. I'm sorry. I don't know. A lot of people love it though. A lot of people adore it, which is great. Isn't the Death Race remake basically Twisted Metal, says Portal Player? I didn't watch all of it. It's more of a race. Maybe it's more like Carmageddon. But I have no idea. Hello, Stoner Joe. Good to see you, buddy. Okay. So Brian Altano of IGN's Brian Altano's said this. There he goes. Now, I don't know Brian Altano, but he tweeted this. And this really spoke to me. He's playing Elden Ring. And he says, one of my favorite things about Elden Ring, it's quiet and lonely. It doesn't talk your ear off. The main character is mostly silent. It's largely just leaves you alone and lets you be. Lots of modern games don't do that. Elden Ring does, and I really love it. I think what is happening, actually Spike Spiegel says Miyazaki got inspired to go into games because of Shadow of the Colossus. That's not actually true. It was Eco, but close enough. But I think maybe what you're starting to see with the Souls games, and it's very weird if you've kind of come up playing traditional narrative-based titles, where a lot of the storytelling is very, which I love, but I mean, it's everything from not hidden, but buried in text descriptions, to environment storytelling, to little strange asides somebody will say. And in that, I think as much as a lot of people love their cinematic action adventure games, I do think it kind of lights away for, your mileage will vary, but for me personally, and clearly for a lot of the audience, a better way to tell a story. And I'm not talking about them being notoriously difficult. That is its own kettle of fish. But the idea of just letting you live in this space and through sort of communication with other real people and osmosis, just have the story it's almost like learning a language. You're a kid and you get dropped in France. 5 years later, you'll be speaking French. It's even if no one sat you down, like nobody taught you your native language, you picked it up by being there. There's something really organic about that I think is absolutely compelling and refreshing. And I think it speaks to what Brian is talking about, where it's not just like, I'm the character that was written and has beats and has an arc and all this shit that basically, in my opinion, is better at home in a movie. This is just like, here, I've made this really cool playground for you. Go figure out what it's about if you care. If not, just go kill things. I think that's really cool. There was a what's it called? A tweet, a message, a thread on NeoGAF, talking about, it just kind of reminded me of the flop sweat days of making games, because it says Starfield in the land of Elden Ring, and this One's Venus is the guy over there who posted this. He gets a little bit of his information wrong. He thinks that Skyrim and Oblivion are procedurally laid out maps, but that said, though, he has a really good point. He's basically saying, now that we've been spoiled by Elden, which I would agree is, if you like the kind of gameplay it offers, is really one of the most well laid out open worlds. I mean, just the stuff that you find that's meaningful. I don't know. These are spoilers, whatever. Hey, there's Max Ankar. Good to see you, Max. I'll get that in just a second. I'm not going to tell you what's through it, but I was just wandering around on my horse last night. And I kind of found in between this kind of grass and thorns and vines and shit, just like a little fucking portal just sitting there that took me to a totally different world. Or I found, it's very open world, but it feels very lovingly handcrafted. Like, there's a set of caves you go into, and at the very bottom of the fucking cave, there's this sort of cinematically classic dragon that shoots fire and shit. And it's not some throwaway boss. It's like it's like, fuck. That's just kind of out there in the world, and I probably wouldn't even have to have ever found it. If I'm competing with open world games at this point, after having seen this, I would definitely be like, oh my God. It's kind of like we were working on a game, Max will tell you, we were working on a game at Sony Santa Monica back in the day called Psycho 5.0, which I think Max was working on, actually. And it was before God of War. It was an internal team, and it was kind of an open world cops and robbers, cartoony, Crazy Taxi meets State of Emergency, what have you. But you couldn't get out of the car. This was before Grand Theft Auto 3 dropped. You couldn't get out of the car because no one did that. You couldn't do it in Twisted. It was just, what are you talking about? That's a big deal. Well, the minute Grand Theft Auto drops, everything changed in a week. And that, one of the main reasons that game was killed was because they didn't have it budgeted or scheduled to go in and add a whole on foot thing. They would have had to re-art a bunch of shit and change scale, and it would have been like a brand new thing. And they just killed it instead, because they're like, you can't do it anymore. You can't have a game like this anymore where you can't get out of the car. So I think similarly with Elden, now that you've had this kind of open world that is just so lovingly handcrafted, or at least it feels that way, the idea of even, and I love Miles Morales, one of my favorite fucking games of the last couple of years. Love that game. But now I wonder if they're going to make it, well, they are making a Spider-Man 2. Now I'm kind of like, oh, or an Assassin's Creed or whatever. It's like, this is just a big swath of land. Nothing really interesting is here. But you get the sense with Elden, I don't want to oversell it, but you get the sense with Elden, every area is like, okay, you could pull Miyazaki or someone aside, George Martin, and say, talk to me about this area. Oh, well, a lot of open world games just like, we need a big swath of land, go. Let's move on to the next, and you have these pieces that are handcrafted. But I don't know. I think it's fucking brilliant. And if I was Starfield or any of these guys making open world games, I'd be worried. Not worried like we're fucked, but more like, do we need to make some changes? Marco Aquino, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that super chat. Drive-By Joe, thank you for the super chat. He says, after Elden Ring's success, I think Bandai will hold off on selling. Not that they were, but there were rumors. Yeah, but the one thing I wonder about that, the one thing I wonder about that is, you know, the one weakness of this game, you know, is its visuals, in my opinion, and its technical chops, in my opinion. Now, I know they could change engines, and they're clearly a drastically talented team. But you look at something like Bloodborne, and, you know, I don't want to get into a big fight. I mean, it's a fight, but I don't want to get into a big rigmarole because it's irrelevant. It's subjective. But in my opinion, Bloodborne looks better at a quality of art level than Elden Ring. Now, I understand one is an open world game and one is your view is locked off. They can focus on certain areas to put their resources and they don't have to draw a bunch of shit. But if it was PS4 to PS4, I would understand it. But this is PS5. This is PC. This is Xbox Series X. And it's doesn't look as good as Bloodborne. There's some nice art direction, but it doesn't look as good as Bloodborne. I don't think it does. And so I think there is something to be said for having a company like Sony come in with a group like the From guys and say, hey, we should work together exclusively because we can bring what we bring, which is the tech and here's how you get the most out of your box and the hardware, and you guys keep doing what you're doing, but it's a better match, I think. Bandai doesn't own From Software, do they? I know they own probably the rights to Elden Ring, but I don't think they own From. From, I think, is independent, right? Oh, God, yes. CR3D says, yeah, it's just stuff like this. It's just like he's talking about animating, picking up crafting materials. Nobody wants to watch Aloy animate picking up materials. It's boring. Yeah, that's why I thought after Ghost Tsushima did it right, which is you just ride over it, you pick it up. That's what Elden Ring does. Who the fuck wants to watch any character stop what they're doing? Oh, it's dumb. It's such a dumb decision. I don't know why they made that decision. Oreas, thank you, buddy. He says, I heard they want to make a God of War movie too. What do you think about that? Well, I mean, I think God of War makes more sense as a TV show because the God of War, and thank you for the super chat, the God of War movie, would what you'd really be selling somebody on is the spectacle and the high concept of Greek mythology monsters come to life. And we've seen a lot of that now since 2005. But I think if you have the planned tapestry of multiple seasons and you can really, you know, deal with Kratos and his brother as a boy and then deal with the God of War original Kratos and then literally see him becoming who he is now, and wherever this is going to finish, maybe they tell the story backwards, whatever. I think you end up with something a bit more special and marbled and rich. I think if you just make the God of War movie, that's cool and all, but I don't think it's as special as it used to be because after God of War released, we had Hercules, we had Gods of Egypt, we had some TV shows. It no longer was like, oh man, remember those cool Harryhausen movies when we were kids? Let's bring those updated. Well, that's been done now. And so at that point, I don't think it's as strong, but most stories aren't as strong in 2 hours, but some are. But that's what I think. Marco Aquino has super chatted. Thank you, sir. He says, no, you pronounced on Aquino. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, buddy. Totally sorry. I apologize. I don't know how to respond to that. I apologize. Okay. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat. Sorry, fellas. You need a movie budget to get that God of War spectacle. You can't do that on a TV show. Oh, stoner face. Shame on you, sir. That's simply not true. If you watch a lot of the Marvel TV shows, good God. That opening of Falcon and Winter Soldier where Falcon is flying through, I think it's the Grand Canyon, fighting helicopters and shit. Come on now. Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett's final battle scene on Mos Eisley. Come on now. Come on now. Okay. Let's move on. I want to talk about PlayStation Spartacus. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Elden on the back end, but this is weird. Now, there's a little piece of data that's new, which is why I put this as a main topic of the show. Because last week when we were hearing about this, where they were saying, hey, there's going to be a March State of Play, they may very well announce it in March. Apparently, according to Jeffrey Grubb, who doesn't like me, and I don't like him, but I think he writes some good things. I don't know why he doesn't like me. I think he thinks I'm a Nazi. I don't understand him. But anyway, last week it's like, hey, here's the 3 tiers. Bloomberg reported it originally, and he breaks it down. He says, and I'll tell you the little nugget of news that has me worried. But this sounded pretty good, especially with like Dragon Warrior 3, is that what it's called? Which is coming out tomorrow on PS Now day 1. It's only 5 hours long. The reviews are like, it's really good at front, and then it gets dull, but that sounds like a great Game Pass, PS Now kind of game to me, baby. But anyway, PS Essential is the $10 price. You get monthly games, and I think you get to play online, right? So PS Essential is the PlayStation Plus you already know. For $10 a month, it's monthly games, and I assume you can play online. PlayStation Plus Extra is going to cost you $13. Meanwhile, that will give you this is VentureBeat, monthly games and a game catalog for $13 a month. The game catalog is a library of hundreds of older downloadable games. This seems like Sony ripped the download catalog out of PS Now and popped it into PS Plus instead. All right, fine. We've known this. None of these are Game Pass killers, but we've known this. Okay. This was the one that I was feeling pretty good about when I heard last week. PS Plus Premium. It'll cost you $16. You get all the stuff we've already talked about, but you also get PS Now's streaming capabilities. You get a library of, quote, classic games as well as new game trials. Game trials enable you to download and start playing the full versions of new PlayStation games. Probably just like we just saw with Cyberpunk, right? Which I thought was great. It made me buy Cyberpunk, okay? But then, if you go over to Video Games Chronicle, this is also from Jeff Grubb. He's talking about the $16 a month version. He says, do you get full games? Not really, kinda. It's like EA Play. We knew that. That's fine. You get full game trials. I don't know if that's for every single game that comes out, but it seems like that, he says. This is the sentence that worries me. While PlayStation has offered game trials in the past, Grubb implies that all PlayStation first-party titles could offer these in the premium tier. So if the game trials don't apply to third-party games, if they're not going out and making deals with all the publishers of third-party games to get, hey, here's 5 hours of Borderlands 4, here's 5 hours of Grand Theft Auto 6, here's 5 hours of whatever, the new, Mortal Kombat or Gotham Knights or whatever, and it's just the PlayStation games, oh God, who cares? Because A, you're probably going to buy those anyway. You don't need a trial for those. And even if you did, they only put out 3 to 5 of those a goddamn cockadoodle a year. And a couple of them are things you're not interested in, like Gran Turismo, I mean, some people love that, but it's not like an Uncharted or a God of War. So at which point, then it's back to going, okay, so the main thing you get for $16 a month is you get some, you get PS Now, which you either like or you don't. I don't like what they have on there because there's not much, although Dragon Warrior is a good sign. And then you get some classic games, but who gives a shit? I think Sony's overestimating the value of backwards compatibility. I think some people will like it and it's great, but that's not why Game Pass is sexy. That's not why it makes sense. World Gaming says, when is this coming out? No one knows. Well, people know, but the rumor is March it will be announced, and when it comes out, I haven't heard that date yet. But yeah, First Sizzle says the trial can't be a selling point. I don't agree with you on that. I don't. I mean, your mileage will vary. Yeah, G says full game trials are weak, bro. No, I don't believe that. I mean, again, all right, Mo, good to see you, buddy. I think if you were to say here is a brand new game, unlike on Game Pass, I mean, when Game Pass starts dropping Bethesda games day one and Activision games day one, okay, things change. And when they start regularly dropping their AA, AAA games, things change. But right now, based on what Game Pass is, for everything, and I love my Game Pass, but for everything Game Pass puts out for free, like every 5 games, there's one that I'm really excited about. But every single game, or 90% of the games from third-party publishers, if Sony says we've made a deal with them, it's not day one drop, but it's a 5-hour, basically not even a demo, it's 5 hours of the game. That's pretty compelling to me, because then I get to play all of these games for 5 hours. More often than not, 5 hours is more than enough to tell me if I want to buy the game or not. I don't think that's, at least in my opinion, I don't think that's as uncompelling or uncompelling as you think it is. But, I mean, you know, it's subjective for sure. Yuwu says, I think you're underestimating the value of backwards compatibility. This isn't trying to be a Game Pass service. It's trying to chart down its own road. Well, you're saying a couple of different things. Whether or not this is or isn't trying to be a Game Pass service is kind of irrelevant. To your first point, which is I think you're underestimating the value of backwards compatibility. Backwards compatibility, I think, works more like it works like in Steam. And if you've bought games in the past and it just works, that's a little different than, hey, if you subscribe to this, now you get these 300 you get to play Jumping Flash. I'm like, who cares? Play it for 5 minutes, you move on with your fucking life. I'm not saying old games aren't good, but I think what's cool about the way Xbox does it, and Steam does it, is if you want to buy a game for like $5 and get Dead Space 2, or buy a game for $10 and get, Max Payne 3, you own it, it's yours, and it just works. You don't even think about backwards compatibility anymore with Xbox. It's just old games work on it for the most part. Right, Crazed Assassin said, who's really going to play some crusty PS1 title? True. Hell, well, we know not a lot of people, even though it was a terrible system, when they put out the PlayStation Classic, that little thing that had like 25 games. I mean, I know it wasn't good, like at a hardware level, but goddamn. Yeah, who wants to sit there and play Destruction Derby for more than 10 minutes? Oh, I agree. Yeah, Uwu says PlayStation has the biggest and arguably the most legacy library. Probably Nintendo, but they're close. Xbox, no offense, but other than Halo and maybe Gears, doesn't have much legacy. I think you're right. But it's not about that, is what I'm saying. I think, Max Payne isn't owned by Xbox. It's not owned by, Dead Space isn't owned by Xbox. But if I have an Xbox or I have Steam, let's put it this way. In 10 years, unless something goes tits up, if I buy a brand new computer, or I probably bought 3 by then, and I still subscribe to Steam, I can probably still play Max Payne 3 and Dead Space 2. And I would want to. I don't want to play PS1 games. You really want to play Tomba for more than a couple of minutes? Game Pass is releasing 3 full games this month only, says Bastigi. What are they? Okay, Eternal says, question. I know you drop your rune currency in Elden Ring when you die, but what about the golden runes? I don't even know if I have golden runes. I have so much shit in my inventory that I actually went today and I was like, shit, I sold a bunch of it just because it was just taking too much, time to scroll through the shit. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Half the stuff in there. You don't think in 10 years you're going to be able to play those games on a PC? Really? That's Hamamspa. I think it's been shown by data that demos or trials don't help sales, so why would they do it, says Geesh. I don't think you're wrong about that, but my only guess would be that, if this story is to be believed, they are doing it, and they think part of why you will pay more than $13, why you will pay $16 in part is because you will get these trials. Now, every now and then it makes a difference. Like in the chat, BB is saying, Jaffe, I played Babylon Fall demo, and now I'm ready to buy the season pass. The demo sold me. And I played Cyberpunk. I played it originally when it came out, but I only played it for like 3 hours. And then I played the 5-hour trial on PS5, and I fucking loved it. And I bought it. So, maybe the data has changed. I don't know. I really don't know. But, Sony clearly thinks there's value in it. At least $1 more value than the $13 deal. Kyle Homer says, okay, so no actual proof. That's a toxic thing to say Shadow Warrior's 5 hours long. Are you talking to me? If you're talking to me, when you say something like, okay, so no actual proof, what in your world, I've seen your comment and I'm choosing to ignore it. I didn't see your comment. I said it's 5 hours long because somebody in the chat came in and said, oh, I read that it was 5 hours long. I don't know if it is. I'm just saying that's what he says it is. I'm still going to play it. I'm excited. I thought it came out today, and I went to download it, and I'm like, oh, it's tomorrow. So, okay. What is this one? Hang on a sec, fellas. No, that's video games. Hang on. I agree, if 5-hour demos can save me from spending $70, that sounds like a big win to me. Right. Or if it can motivate you to spend $70, you'd feel good about it. For Shizzle says, I watched AGC review Shadow Warrior. He said it's very short. No, Kyle, I know you're not shitting on me. I'm saying, okay, you're saying it's directed at chat. Yeah, from now on, I'm only going to assume if you're directing at me, you'll say at David Jaffe. Because there's too many times that gets fucked up. Jim Ryan says, my wife wishes I could last 5 hours. From what I hear, Jimbo, she wishes you could last 5 minutes. It's like, I got nothing. That was a joke about your inability to please your woman, sir, if you didn't know. Okay. It's boring. Let's talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow. It's a pretty good interview. Pretty good interview over in the New Yorker with Miyazaki, by the way. Let me read you some choice bits. I'm going to put it up in the... I'm going to drop it for you in the chat, though, if you want to go over and read it on your own. It's good. It's a good interview with the New Yorker magazine. I'll just read you some of the things he says. He talks about difficulty of Souls games. I've never been a skilled player, says Miyazaki. I die a lot, so in my work, I want to answer the question. If death is more than a mark of failure, how do I give it meaning? How do I make death enjoyable? I don't know if it's enjoyable, but it certainly has meaning. It certainly has meaning. Oh, Kyle Homer, that's fine. It's so easy to get misconstrued. Don't worry about it. He says, I apologize to anyone, this is Miyazaki talking, who feels there's just too much to overcome in my games. I just want as many places as possible, as many players as possible to experience the joy that comes from overcoming hardship. I thought that was interesting to hear. People have said that a lot. To hear it straight from the horse's mouth is pretty good. We're always looking to improve our games, he says, but in our game specifically, hardship is what gives meaning to the experience. So in regards to making their games less challenging down the road, he says it's not something we're willing to abandon at the moment because it is our identity. He talks about how he tells story. We talked about this a little bit a while ago. In Dark Souls, a crucial plot detail is more likely to be found in the description of an item in your inventory rather in dialogue. It's technique Miyazaki employs to spark players' imaginations in the same way he extracted stories from illustrated fantasy books as a kid. The power of imagination is important to me, he said. Offering room for user interpretation creates a sense of communication with the audience, and of course communication between users and the community. This is something I enjoy seeing unfold with our games and that has continued to influence my work. And he goes on. It's really good. It's worth reading. I highly recommend it. The last thing I want to show you, the last thing I want to bring to your cockadoodie attention is the ACG guy talking about Shadow Warrior. Did he say it was good, though? Because the one review I read said it's good, but it runs out of steam real fast. Look at this fucking thing. Somebody posted this on Twitter. You know what this fucking thing is? Look at this goddamn thing. Hang on. Not link in the Discord. Sorry, link here in the chat. The Exorcism of Emily Ross? No, it's not a real story. Look at this. Oh, he liked it a lot. That's good. Look at this. It's fucking moving. Look at that. I mean, that fucking looks like a guy. If you're listening and not watching, it is a 3 foot tall, but it's lying on the ground in a fetal position. clearly grown male face with the body of what looks to be a dog or a wolf with pig hooves. It is weird. It is creepy. And it was going around the internet for a while. Last night, people saying, what the fuck is this? This is a fucking proof that hybrid people are being made. It turns out it's not, of course. Unfortunately, that would have been fun. There's a museum in France this is pretty fucking weird. It's called Strange Eons. And if you're looking at your screen, every room has weird pictures of creations, and then every room has like weird dead animal hybrids in it. It's not CGI. It is absolutely not CGI. It's real. It's a model. There he is right there in the corner. I mean, what a fucking trippy fucking museum. One of the weirdest museums I went to was about terrorism. And one of the exhibits was fascinating. You walk into the exhibit and it's a cafeteria, and it's in the middle of an explosion going off. It's about a terrorist at a cafe, I think in maybe Israel or something. Maybe it was Bangladesh. I don't remember where it was. But invisible wires held up all of the trays and tables and chairs and bodies, so everyone was able to be almost like in a freeze frame photo mode on PlayStation of an explosion going off. And you literally got to walk through it and hear the sounds of the 911 calls and the screams and all that, to actually, as close as you could be, get a sense of what it would be like to be in that situation. Insane. More people need to go to museums. I don't know why they don't. Maybe they think they're stuffy and boring. Museums are fucking cool, man. I love them. All right. Shadow Warrior 3. Yeah, I'll be picking that up tomorrow. I'll probably be streaming that. So anyway, there you go. That's the topics I got. I'll shoot the shit with you guys for a little bit before I head off and play some Elden Ring and then try to get to bed at a decent hour. Thank you for hanging out with me late tonight. Thank you for staying up late with me tonight. Marco, thank you, buddy. He says, I had a dream I could buy my way to heaven. Why would you need to buy your way to heaven? I think what's compelling about that is you had a dream that heaven's real to begin with. Let me tell you something else, Marco. I've been dreaming a lot the last week, and nothing has really changed. I don't know why. Like, I don't think my diet's changed or anything. Maybe it's because I've been playing tons of video games. I mean, constant dreaming. It's awesome. I have to also tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you that later. BB, I'll play Babylon Fall sometime this week. But thank you, Marco. Regarding Elden Ring, Pause said, put stuff into your chest, Jaffe, don't sell it all. Well, why? Like, I ended up having probably 12 pairs of pants that were a lower armor rating than what I currently had on. Because I was farming in that cavern section with the gold miners that were hitting the rocks and shit. And so I was just kind of like, well, I'm never going to need these, right? So I sell duplicates all the time. That's when we play games, says Dane. Museums will never give the experience of being there. Games are the closest to a time machine. I mean, I think that can be accurate, but I think museums offer things that games don't, which is the ability to actually look at, sometimes hold, sometimes be in the space that a video game, you know, it certainly doesn't feel as real yet. It will one day, though. We're getting there for sure. It would be really nice to see a plan where the users could choose one or two games from a list every month and keep them as long as they're subscribed. Yeah, that would be cool, but it'd be hard to get those games, I think, for Sony. VR is more about immersion in the space. Yeah. So that does matter. That helps a great deal. What you do in the space doesn't tend to be that compelling a lot of times, but we'll see. I've done some good virtual museums, though. I absolutely have. I loved using the HTC Vive with room-based VR, and I think it was the Smithsonian or one of these big museums. And it was so cool. to be able to literally walk up to statues, and I could walk around them and look at them from any angle, and I could go all the way up to a painting and I could see the brush strokes because the resolution of the scan was so high. It was really fucking cool, man. I love virtual museums. I went in one the other day. What was the museum? I don't remember what it was, but it was pretty fucking cool. And there's a lot of stuff that, you know, they're really weird museums that I wish would go virtual, because I'm less interested in walking around and seeing art. And I'd rather do the Museum of Death or the Museum of Weird Scientific things, which is like a real, like, science meets Ripley's Believe It or Not and shit. You're calling in from Serbia, Babbitt. Good to see you, baby. Good to see you, man. You should also pay attention to the load of items. Yeah, heavy loads make you... Yeah, I know. It's the funny thing about... And on one hand, I appreciate it. On the other hand, it's kind of funny. The advice that you get when you're playing one of these... good to see you, Marco. Good night, buddy. When you're playing one of these games in the genre, the Souls genre, is everybody has an opinion and a piece of advice. They say you should be playing it this way. But a lot of times that advice contradicts, of course. And that's what's so brilliant and beautiful about the game in the series and the genre, is that it really, you can play in a lot of different fucking ways, man. Would I do a dark tourist vacation, Brett Moore? Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, well, my next place I really go on vacation ideally will be Salem during Halloween. But beyond that, though, yeah, I mean, if I actually, you know, if someone said, hey, you know, I don't know if I really believe in ghosts. I have no reason to believe in them, but I like the idea. If someone said, hey, there's some compelling shit you need to see. Why don't you go on this ghost tour in England for 3 weeks? I'd do that. What I really want to do is go on a psychedelic drug vacation and just go into a doctor's office where it's safe and just try ayahuasca and DMT and psilocybin and just really, explore inner space a little bit. That would be fantastic. Where did that go? What did you say, BB? Jaffe, why do people dream? Is it an experience of the afterlife? Oh, I mean, nobody really knows. There's a lot of theories. Jaffe, do you not believe in demons and ghosts and souls and religion? I believe in nothing and everything. I have zero reason intellectually to believe in demons and ghosts and souls and religion. Souls, maybe, or what we think of as souls. Some kind of continuation of a consciousness. I don't think it's the David Jaffe consciousness. My dad's dead. My mom's dead. I don't think there is a Ralph Jaffe somewhere out there thinking about things as Ralph Jaffe. But I do think there is a continuation of some kind of awareness that occurs after death. But other than that, I'm agnostic on all this shit. I don't fucking know. I certainly don't believe in traditional God, though. No. God, no. Oh, yeah, no, I know, Eternal. I'm not complaining. He's talking about, by all means, play your way when you're playing these games, the Souls games. Oh, I know. I do. And I appreciate the feedback. Are you kidding? I wouldn't have been playing this if it wasn't for feedback, because it took a lot of people to help me understand why or how I could play Bloodborne in a way that works for me. But that's the thing, is that you really can imprint on these games your own philosophy of play and your own philosophy of risk-reward. So for a lot of people, it's like, hey, I would very much like to get good at learning the patterns and dodging and all this shit. For me, I like that, but I also like to farm the fuck out of my character. Like, I found that troll place up on the hill where there's like 5 trolls running around, and I adore just putting on music and going up there and farming. And tonight, before I started streaming, was the first night I finally killed one of those giant bears. Because I realized I had to get off my horse to kill it. And that was a great feeling. That's what scares me, though, when you die, says Wolfblood, doing nothing forever. You won't know it. It won't scare you at all. You won't care. It's an intellectually scary idea, but the experience of it is, if that's what it is, I've experienced something like it before, which is when you go under an anesthesia. You just don't exist for a couple hours, and you time travel, and you wake up, and you're like, what? 5 hours has passed? What? I have not seen Konami's new digital game. No, I have not. Mutant Mo, you're fighting the giant bears now. Yeah, it's fun. Have I ever wanted to smoke PCP and go squirrel hunting, says Devon. I don't hunt animals. I would have no interest in doing that. But PCP, my fear of things like PCP, heroin, you know, I'm not interested in getting into a drug that can be addictive and quite damaging. I'm much more interested in the psychedelics that are either found in nature or been proven to be safe over many, many decades. But I have no experience other than weed and alcohol as drugs, Kyle. And I definitely want to have some more. I want to have some psychedelic experiences. It's called Gitsu Fumaden, Undying Moon. What kind of game is it? Yeah, I mean, Stonerface says, if you weren't scared before you're alive, you won't be scared when you're dead. Yeah. You know, here's what I'll say about it. The one thing that would bum me out now as someone who is living is if it turns out that the experience is just over, even though you won't be bothered by it. It sucks though, because if you have that awareness, then you're like, well, what's the fucking point of anything? Like, we never are going to get to know what the mystery of the universe is. We just fucking die and we're back to black. What? That's fucking weird. But I mean, it is what it is. It won't bother you when you're dead. It's just weird. Bacon Magma, have you ever thought of going to Skid Row, shooting up with the nice people there? No, but I will tell you, I went to Skid Row in Los Angeles in college with a very pretty girl, Susan Yeagley, who is now Kevin Nealon's wife. And her and I were looking up topics for a talk show we were going to do. It's one of the shows I sold to the TV stations. It was like before Ricky Lake, it was like a teenage talk show. We're at Skid Row, and if you've ever been to LA Skid Row, I mean, it's massive. It's fucking massive. It's heartbreaking, the number of homeless people. But when we were coming out of the shelter that we had interviewed people in, this one guy who was up against the wall pulled this huge fucking knife out. And kind of, I haven't talked to Susan in a long time. I should ask her if she remembers this and what she thought. It's almost like that quantum immortality, because it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't remember much about it. I kind of remember sort of laughing or smirking like, oh, that's hilarious. And then we just kind of walked on, but I don't really, I just remember then being okay. So maybe if you believe in quantum mortality, in a number of scenarios, we were stabbed and killed, but we jumped tracks to another reality, because that's how quantum immortality is theorized to work. And that's where we are now. I don't know. Goldie says, I'm 10 hours into Elden Ring. Not sure if it's my favorite FromSoft game. I'll tell you what I like about it a lot. At first, I liked it, but I wasn't quite sure the open world worked with the Dark Souls formula. But that's because I was playing it like Bloodborne or playing it like Demon Souls. So I was literally staying in a couple of areas and sort of farming my guy. And farming takes a lot longer to it takes a lot longer to level up in this game, I've noticed, than in Bloodborne. Like, I mean, I don't know how many times I've leveled up. I can tell, but I don't have the game up. But I'm now at like 11,000 runes to level up. You know, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But anyway, when you play it that way, it starts to feel like, oh, like when I found my first dungeon, I'm like, oh, it's nice to have a linear section again. Like in Bloodborne or Demon Souls. But once I started saying, okay, I still want to level up and farm, but I also want to explore, that alchemy feels really good to me. Like that loop of, you can farm and it will benefit you, and you can also explore and it will benefit you. The idea of the hardest thing being improved or being made easier by doing the hardest thing, which is fighting, works well for me. Whereas in a game like Breath of the Wild, you're getting more hearts, which is your health, obviously. But if I remember correctly, you get them by completing shrines, which are mostly puzzle-based. So it's almost like the thing that allows you to survive more rarely has much to do with the very thing that's killing you, which is the enemies. So, once I kind of found the cadence of the game, I have absolutely fallen in love with it. I think it's fucking great. It's delightful. It's wonderful. Bacon Magma, when are you going to make a video about your past movies and shows? Like what they were about, why'd they get shelved? I mean, if people are interested, I'll make it. I know you've asked about it a couple of times. Jaffe, have you heard The Red Book by Carl Jung or The Dream in the Underworld by James Hillman? Both are great books about dreams. I actually, speaking of, why did you hide Kyle Homer? Wolfblood, what did he do? Did you mean to hide him or webcam guy? So one of the shows that I didn't sell, but we were talking to some studios about, was actually a reality-based show about dreams. So every episode would be like 3 different dreams that people sent in, and then we reenacted those dreams. Not we did, but we hired actors, almost like a crime show that does reenactments, but it's reenactments of interesting dreams. And then we have the dreamer and like a couple of, charismatic therapists on stage with an audience analyzing and talking about the dream. So in planning for that show, I actually went to the Young Institute in Los Angeles, and this is before the internet, and did a lot of research on Jung, but I don't know if I ever read that book. Okay. BB, I do see it, but I choose not to acknowledge it, because if it's a bot, I or one of the mods will get it, as they have. And if it's a person spamming, one of the mods and I will get it. But if it's a live person, all you do is give them more attention. I know it's annoying. I know it's there, but unless you're here to talk to the chat and not talk to me and be part of the show with the chat, which is totally fine. I don't care how you watch the show. Then I just kind of like, we'll get to it. I mean, stay focused. We're chatting here. Yeah, Kyle Homer, he'll automatically come back in. I think you just timed him out. I'm assuming that was a mistake, because you were trying to time out the other guy. Deja vu is a real thing, but it's a real thing in regard. I mean, at least science has said this is what deja vu is. But if you've ever tripped hard on marijuana, and I know that almost sounds like quaint, but when I get high, as people can attest who have watched these streams. Shut up, Bacon Magma. I do have, I do get these like chronological time shifts when I'm really high, where time, people have, no, I'm not like unique. A lot of people have this, but, where, the past and present and future of the moment, I don't mean like 20 years in the future, but like in the room that you're in with the people you're talking to, time is, you experience it in very different, you experience it in very different ways. It's not linear. It's like this happened in the middle, but it happened first for you and things like that. I can see it, Kyle. Stoner Joe, I miss the days I chose to be sober. Meaning, oh, you're not choosing it anymore? I'm not sure I understand. All right. Fellas, that has been gabbing in games. Oh, well, let me bring in Professor Goo. Hang on, we got a caller. Let's not leave him hanging. Professor Goo, it's Jaffe. How you doing, pal?
Hey, Jaffe, how are you doing?
Very, very good. What's going on?
I was just I had two questions for you actually.
Yep.
So I know you said this before Elden Ring came out. You were thinking about like playing a game to cleanse your palate before Elden Ring, and I was just wondering if you ever like was interested in playing Sackboy Big Adventure. I know you talked about it before. And
I've played it. I haven't. I want to play it again, and I would actually like to play that co-op online now that it's out. I really enjoyed it, but those games, as much as I love them, it kind of plays with my completionist mentality, and sometimes I'll get bored of it because I won't be able to move on from a level until I've gotten everything. And that game has such charming, fun things to collect that I couldn't get past like the underwater level because I could finish it, but I was missing one thing and I wouldn't move on. And in that, I just got bored of it. But I should go back because it was a great game, fucking great game.
I was wondering, but could I like play with you, or is that not?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a member. I can't.
When we I usually let members get first seats, which I will do again when we'll make it part of a game night or a stream. But I don't think many people own that game, so I'll probably be struggling just to fill because it's like 4 players, right?
4, yeah.
Yeah.
PS5.
So assuming
I don't know if PS5 and PS4 can mix. I don't actually know about that, but
what are you playing on?
I have a PS5.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I don't see how that would be a hard thing to do, but yeah, let's talk about it when we do the next game night. What was your next question?
So with Activision being purchased by Microsoft, I felt like, and I'm assuming Bobby Kotick's gonna get removed. I decided to like start playing Activision games again.
I understand. I've thought about it. Yep.
I recently purchased Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 for the PS5.
Yeah.
And have you played it? Because
I played it when it first came out, and I know the world fell in love with it, and I just was playing other things, I think, because we were in the middle of God of War. And so I since then, I had like a lot of people those times where I got really engaged with like the tricks games and all that stuff, which isn't the same, but it's similar. But I've never gone back and played the remasters, but people tell me it's fucking amazing.
A lot of fun. Good music. I don't know if you could like, play it on stream or stuff like that because of the music, but it's got good music, great gameplay. It's just a lot of fun.
Okay, maybe I will pick it up because I mean I agree with you about the Activision thing. Now that I know, Kotick's on the way out. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to be able to get back in and play those games and spend my money on those games because some of them I really like, but I didn't want to give Kotick any money either. I'm with you on that. But I'll let you know and stay tuned on the next game night. We'll see if we can get Sackboy in sometime.
Okay. Yeah, I bought him pre-owned as well because I didn't want him to even chance.
There you go. Yeah, fuck Bobby Kotick. I like how Greg Miller said it. He said it at the show last week. I'm like, I've been saying fuck Bobby Kotick for months, for years. For fucking years. Where's my applause from the goddamn DICE audience? Nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. You believe that shit, Professor Goo?
They don't, you originated it. You started it. Right. And they
the only person that hated Bobby Kotick more than I did before I did was his fucking mother. Am I right? You know I am.
Yeah. Good.
All right,
good.
Professor Goo, good to see you, buddy. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Magnum, thank you for the super chat. He says, did you hear about the ceasefire talks? Well, is this new? Because I heard today that Russia sat down with the Ukraine. I don't know who was there, but it didn't go anywhere, is the headline I saw. Are you saying you read a different headline that the talks were successful for a ceasefire? Or are you saying this hasn't happened in the last hour or two? I did see that, Eternal. Jaffe says, do you see investors are suing Activision over the deal with Microsoft? Yes. Could prevent the acquisition if it holds water. Yeah, what are they saying? They say it's not in the best interest of the shareholders of the company. It's only in the best interest of the upper up folks. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, but you could also argue that it is in the best interest of the shareholders because once Kotick and all that toxicity gets ushered out, and Microsoft brings in a more civilized way of running a company, you end up with a company that's not rife with lawsuits and sexual harassment claims and customers, maybe not wanting to support your studio. But I mean, maybe that's not enough of a financial incentive versus just Kodak's fucking great where he is. I don't give a fuck about losing 20% of our sales if Kodak can make more than 40% over what was projected. So I don't fucking know. Hey, Trey Trimble, there he is, buddy. How you been, Trey? We haven't seen you around these parts lately. We thought you were scared of the ghost that we have in the stream. It's good to see you, buddy. Is Greg Miller the guy who canceled Colin Moriarty for a joke? No, he didn't cancel him for a joke. I think Colin and Greg have a history, and they had a bit of a falling out, and I've really only heard Colin's side of it, but I believe Colin. I believe what he's saying. Doesn't mean that Greg doesn't have an equally compelling perspective on it. But, I like Colin a great deal. Greg, I don't know Greg that well. I've liked him with every interaction I've ever had with him, but, oh, fuck you, Bacon Magma. Fuck you, Bacon Magma. The video was posted in the last hour of a Russian airstrike hitting Kharkiv government headquarters. Oh my God, man. Yeah, I haven't seen the footage. I hear there's just some horrific footage of civilians littering the fucking streets, man. These people did nothing. Insane. Oh, cool, Trey. I'm looking forward to it whenever you can. Whenever you can, man. I'll be grateful for it. All right, fellas, that's Gabbin' and Games for Monday night. I will be back at a normal time on Wednesday. I apologize for the very late show this evening, but it couldn't be helped because of the technical difficulties. I might stream Elden Ring tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to make some videos tomorrow. I definitely will be streaming again on Wednesday. I want to make some members-only videos this week. And do a lot of work on the membership stuff. So we'll see where things go. But for now, that's been Gabbin' and Games. Mods, thank you very much. It was a rough night in parts for Mods. Thank you guys for taking care of it. Super chats, new members, thank you for your generosity. Old members, thank you very much for your continued support. And let's be glad we got rid of that Kyle Homer guy. Yes, Kyle, we can see you. I see you right there. I was a little too chatty. He says, as always, Brett Moore says, thank you, Jaffe's Beard. You were a little too chatty. What? I don't understand. All right, fellas, be well. Filettis, be well. Take it easy, and I will see you soon. Be safe in the world. Bye, y'all.